Hey everyone, another episode of Grassroots Podcast. As always, be sure to subscribe, hit the notification button, be notified for our latest and the greatest episodes. I'm one of the hosts, Brandon Killabh Hall. Now, today is going to be a good day. Before we get into it, as always, make sure to subscribe to our Discord. Make sure to subscribe to our newsletter. That's where you're going to get the latest and greatest for everything that we're doing from Grassroots as far as content, videos, interviews, and hopefully events whenever we get out of COVID land. So everyone else, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi.
Erin, you going?
Yeah. Hey, I'm Erin Ashley Simon.
I'm Regular Nas.
And
I'm in the building. I'm your host. Your guest for today. I'm so used to hosting my own shit. I'm your guest for today. I'm Ed Lover. How's everybody doing? Peace.
Good.
Ed Lover's in the house.
So first off, Ed, I feel like there's so much to talk about. First, how are you again? How is the family? I know we were talking in, I guess what we do is pre-production as far as like adjusting to COVID and all of the things that are happening over there. So like, how are you adjusting with all of that?
I get out. Thank God I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, where predominantly the weather has been nice, sunny and in the 70s. So we get out, walk a couple miles every day just to breathe. You know, there's still a lot of trails out here. Stone Mountain is open and part of the Beltline is open. So there's still a lot of places where we get to exercise in and walk around and just breathe some fresh air. So the wife is in there right now making macaroni and cheese. So life is good, brother.
Soul food. What I wouldn't give.
Gotta have it.
Oh my God. So now we talked about a lot of different things as far as like COVID, as far as hip hop, as far as culture, as far as just across the board from like you're looking at your peers and maybe just the landscape of music and video game culture, because we talked a lot about that. What are some of the similarities that you're seeing in both gaming and culture? And then what are some of the things you're still kind of like, that's a little weird. I don't know if I'm gonna make that transition.
I just think that as African Americans in this country, I think whenever we step into something, especially since we are talking about maybe two generations that don't know life without hip hop being on the radio. And I think once we touch something, we make it culture. I don't think everything is culture. I think we make things culture when we touch it as African Americans. I don't like to say black too much because I try to stop myself from saying it because there's no place called black. So we're not from some foreign country called black. So we ain't black. We're African Americans, no matter which way you look at it. Africa is the birthplace of all civilization, so that's the birthplace of us. So being born here in America, I'm an African American, somebody from the Caribbean that's here. Their parents are Caribbean. Still, you could trace those roots back to Africa, but they're Caribbean American. So wherever we touch, we make it culture. We made gaming culture because we jumped into it and we made it cool. We made it, everything we touch, we put that swagger on it, man. We put that drip on it, and it becomes us. So, there's certain things that I wouldn't touch being a seasoned African-American in hip hop. There's certain, but I can't say no because I did it. Like if you go back to early on TV raps, I had a blonde streak in the front of my hair. So all the different colors of the hair and all of that. And that's just another play on what we've done already. So I don't knock it, them really, really, really super tight clothes. No, I'm not doing it. Get me wrong, I'm not stuck with boot cut jeans on and flared legs. I still wear my stuff tapered. But that super tight stuff that Lil Wayne was doing.
The jeggings.
Yeah.
So a question about that, right? You're saying that everything that African Americans touch is we are the culture in the sense that anything that we touch or are involved with, everyone else wants to be a part of. But do you feel like sometimes that we can be our worst enemies with that for the sake of like when one person does it, then the rest of us are like, okay, we need to do this, or oh, that person popped off by doing IG lives and DJing on IG lives, so everyone else has to do it. And then when we get into that like rushed kind of habit, it forces everyone else to be in that rush habit. So when we are ingraining ourselves, are we sometimes our worst enemies?
Yeah, Erin, I agree with you 100%. I think sometimes we, as African Americans don't know how to think outside of the box. Like you'll see D Nice. D Nice been around since he was on before me. Yeah. So if you go back and listen to the early BDP records, it's like, yo, what's up, Scott LaRock? Yo, what's up, D Nice? So D Nice been around for a long time. D Nice garnering 150,000 people on his Instagram Live just inspires other DJs to say, hey, I could do Instagram Live too. But when you sit back and you look at it and leave that to the people that know how to do it. So I turned on Terry Cruz's Instagram Live and he was on there DJing. I turned on, and it was horrible. And I love Terry. Me and Terry go way back, but he don't know what he's doing. So him and Deion Cole, bro, leave it alone. Leave it to the people that know how to do it. Don't rush into doing something because it became popular.
Yeah. I think it's also people just trying to figure it out. Like partially it's boredom. Like I know a lot of people go live literally just because they need like a human interaction. You know what I mean? Like they're used to dealing with people, every day, and then having that stripped from them, it's like, okay, maybe it's a culture shock, maybe it's something else. What are some of the other things that you're, I guess for everyone, what are some things you guys are noticing that people are doing that like maybe egregious or out of character? It's like, are you guys
podcasting number one, super egregious with some of these people, and everybody thinks that they an Instagram comedian because you scream into the screen. It doesn't make you funny, bro. It doesn't make you a stand-up. I've seen a lot of these so-called Instagram comedians get on stage with us before this whole COVID thing hit and get their ass ate because they don't have, you know what I mean? They don't know, they really don't know what they're doing. They don't have any real material except you acting stupid on Instagram. That does not make you a comedian. It doesn't make you a thought-provoking, really from a guttural, funny person. I think that's some of the things that are really, really becoming played out, man, and really egregious with everybody's just trying to be super famous for nothing. And now my question is right now, who are the influencers influencing? Because I can't go out and buy the product, and you're not a real influencer. You're not influencing anybody. And every single person thinks that they have a podcast. Bro, you don't know how many times, Killabh, that I'm getting requests to be on somebody's podcast. I'm like, no, bro, no. No, you have absolutely no life experience. You have got nothing to say. Why would people listen to your podcast? Like, for real. You got nothing to say.
Well, thank you for coming on ours.
Word.
Let me say that.
Killabh, you and I go back, man. I know you've been around. You've been around the music for a long time. You got at least 10, 15 years in this. So I know if somebody turns on Grassroots, you're going to have something to say because you got that life experience that you can share with people. A lot of these dudes, they just, and ladies, they just, I'm doing a podcast. I'm like, okay, I don't want to discourage you, but you don't have nothing to say. Like, why would anybody want to listen?
But that goes back to Erin, right? Erin does a lot in esports and gaming, right? And a lot of the stuff that she deals with on I would say maybe even competitive, but just on a granular level of people just looking at her a certain way when she has like a whole other like wealth of knowledge. I think that that's something that people go through every day. I think a lot of it is just people just looking at you and like people could look at me and see tattoos and all this other stuff, but not knowing everything about me. You know what I mean?
Right.
Do you feel like as time goes on, a lot of those characters or people that I guess portray these images or whatever, or in this whole new world, do you think that they'll regret some of those things, like some of the choices that they made?
Absolutely. And I think they'll fall by the wayside. You and I have been around hip hop long enough. We've seen these cats come in, jump into these battles with dudes. You've seen people diss Joe Budden from the time Joe came out, and you know what happened. People showing up at people's houses. You still ain't famous, bro. So what did you do all of that for? If you just be yourself, find something that you like, study it what you like, and be a fan of something first, then maybe you could gain some knowledge to know what you're talking about later on down the line. But these dudes are jumping in. There's too many of these beefs going on, and now these beefs ain't like the beefs that we had. These beefs are actually leading to people getting killed, and that's terrible. It's just too much. It's too much crap going on, and it's the real sad thing about this. And and Erin, maybe you can speak on this from a woman's perspective. There are more women fighting now than guys. I actually sat down and did a symposium with the president of Spelman College, and she says the influences of reality TV has made more Black women fight each other than any other time in history.
Yeah.
Our sisters didn't get. Erin, you want to speak on that for a minute, please?
Yeah, I think that I think it's a layered thing. I think that our society rewards that behavior and that gives people that attention. And we've seen so many people that literally have gotten famous off of fighting. So people feel like highlighting that content. And I have to say, even though World Star Hip Hop has been impactful in some ways to the Black culture, it's also hurt us tremendously, because now people view that they value us and value us through content by us gang banging, us fighting each other. Like, that's us entertaining them. We are consistently boxed into being just a source of entertainment and not having our lives and who we are being valued. And so it's definitely that. And then I also think that I also think it just goes back to people don't know how to deal with their own experience and traumatic experiences, right? So look, you got people in the Black community that don't deal with therapy, may not have an outlet. And so the only way that they can express whether there's an anger or frustration, that they may just put it out on someone else, project it on someone else and want to fight them. But it may not even be a good reason to fight them. They just are angry because of how their life is. It's so multi-layered. And but yeah, definitely reality TV has allowed where it's like, okay, you could become famous by doing ridiculous things.
Yeah, but they're not even smart enough to look at it and say, how come every time they fight, security jump into it? How's this reality TV? I don't have security chasing me around every time I'm getting ready to fight somebody. They're not even smart enough to understand that that's what it is. It's just a scripted reality television, and they taking that over into their own lives. Like, okay, she says something, when I see her, it's on, and it's never been our sisters, man. Our sisters were always the one that's trying to chill us out from acting wild. And now these young Black women, they're acting wild, man.
And I want to ask you a question. I want to go back to the music side. What would you give a young artist? What kind of pointers would you give them to ensure longevity?
I saw Too Short and E40 have a conversation on IG Live. And what I took away from the conversation is something that I will always tell a young artist. There's plenty of room. Even if just be yourself, there's room. There's room for you to have a fan base. There's room for you now to make more money than we could ever make at the time, because now the middleman is cut out and it's just directly between you and your fan base, and you can still tour and you can still make money. Be yourself. Stop trying to shoot for something that may or may not happen to you, but be happy and love the music. Do this because you really, really enjoy it, because it is a business. So do it because you enjoy it, and understand that there's room. Short and E40 are not Jay-Z and Eminem, but they have cut out a 35-year living. You know, Dougie Fresh said something to me that will always stay with me for as long as I live. He said, Ed, I was interviewing him. He said, Ed, I never had a regular job. I've been beatboxing since I was 15.
That's great.
Dougie Fresh has never worked at Burger King like I did. Never. That's all he's ever done is beatbox. So Dougie Fresh is not, he's a legend, but Dougie Fresh didn't garner enough money to be on a Forbes list like Dre did or Jay-Z did, but there's still room for him. Just understand that there's room for you, and you don't have to be Drake, and you don't have to be Wayne, and you don't have to be the Migos, and don't get influenced by anything that they do. Don't waste your money going out buying a brand new car because they depreciate. Invest yourself in invest your funds in something that appreciates and not depreciates. Take it from an idiot who did that, okay? Don't do it. Stay in your lane and grow your audience, and your audience will stay with you forever. When you start chasing somebody else's fame, you in and then you gone.
And let me ask you, because that's a funny point you pointed out. What's one of the worst, I guess, that you could even say? What's one of the worst mistakes, or I wouldn't say mistakes, I don't believe in that. Let's say one of the life-changing experiences that you've been through that's helped to kind of shape you, and that someone else had to show you, like maybe your significant other, or maybe like a friend or family?
I would say two of them. I got into my wife was my fiance at the time, and she got into an altercation with some girls in a club in New York. I don't know if y'all remember this. It was on the news because they gave me the perp walk and I was in the paper. And the girl was getting ready to hit my wife in the head with one of them big ass Grey Goose bottles. Like one of the girls threw a drink in her face and the other girl was coming at her with a Grey Goose bottle. I laid her the fuck out. Wow. Mm-hmm. Biggest mistake I made is I should have went to the police also, but instead I went home. So the girl pressed charges on me, cost me 80 racks in lawyer's fees, and I had to go down, and I had to go to central booking and I ended up just getting like 7 days of community service or something like that, because even the district attorney was like, you had a right to protect, your wife being with you from any harm. But that's one thing that I learned is know the law, man, because anytime that you get ready to get in trouble, you have to be able to know how to react and react quickly. Like I said before about buying a new car, I spent $100,000 on a brand new S550 Mercedes-Benz right there with Mercedes-Benz in Manhattan. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm talking about? Right there, man. When I tell you I picked the interior, I picked the wood grain, I picked the heated steering wheel, the seats had air conditioning, I picked everything that I wanted.
Nice, I ain't gonna lie.
$100,000 car. I think my car payments was $2,000 and some change every month. 3 years later, I decide I want a coupe. So I go in and trade the car. They offer me $60,000 for that car. I lost a shit load of money. Don't do it, bro. I will never buy another new car unless I can afford to get it. Not brand new. I would suggest getting a used car, and the lease don't work for everybody either. But I will never buy a new car like that unless I can just go to the showroom and say, here's the money flat out. And it's mine. It's a waste, man. Your interest rate, all of that, it's a waste. Don't do it just because at the end of the day, I know friends. I got friends that are successful, pretty successful friends out here, man. And they, part of a Lamborghini club. There's like 5 or 6 of these dudes. And honestly, they good dudes, but they're a little lame. Mm-hmm. When it comes down to it, you can't take that car inside nowhere with you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So a lot of dudes do it just to impress ladies, right? That's what we want to look fly for. That's why we get dripped. That's why we want to look good. We look good for the ladies, but you can't take that car inside of a club with you. So who cares? At the end of the day, whatever car you got, if you got a Toyota Corolla, that's going to do the same thing. The Lamborghini might be faster than yours and it might get more flash than yours, but y'all going to get to the same destination. So, you got an iffy career. Mm-hmm. It's not like you the head of a label or like you own a label or own a TV station or something. It ain't like you got Oprah money that you can never spend. You're an artist. I've seen a lot of artists blow money that's not, when you're an artist, it's not guaranteed to keep coming. You're not guaranteed to have that kind of a career. A lot of them maybe have 2 years and then they're gone. We watch them all. You see it on Unsung, what happened in this group or what happened to that group. It's not guaranteed.
What do you think about the whole 6ix9ine thing too, though? Like, you see all the speculation. It's like, some people.
Okay.
He was
Can I say this about 6ix9ine? First of all, I'm from Hollis, Queens, New York. I grew up in an era when there's certain codes and certain morals, even on every level. In the street level, there was certain codes, certain morals. You did this, you did not do that. I personally don't fuck with snitches. I'm sorry. You get in the game, you know what's the consequences of it. I did my little time in the streets too, just like everybody else did. But if I got knocked, I knew that I had to take that and roll with that as a man. I don't fuck with snitches. If 51 fuck with them, fine. 50, you from Southside Jamaica, Queens, you should know better than that. We don't fuck with snitches. This dude, he shouldn't be on nothing. Anybody want to buy his records and embrace him? He should be null and void out in these streets because he's a snitch. And there's no 2 ways about it, bro. You got involved with Treyway. You knew what it was. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You got knocked. You should have kept your mouth closed and kept it moving, bro. You a snitch.
And where do you think that turn happened in hip hop where that's okay for an artist like 6ix9ine to say, yeah, listen, I cooperated with law enforcement, and I'm still gonna come out here and make these crazy records. If he does,
I have no idea, bro. Like I said, it's where did jeggings come from? I don't know what's the disconnect, man.
Jeggings are kind of comfortable, I have to say.
I don't know, man. I don't want to knock nobody, but maybe you wasn't hugged as a kid, or somebody didn't teach you the code, man. I don't know when that started happening, bro. But snitches, they say snitches get stitches, bro. But we don't. Older dudes, man, that's been around there, that came through that whole entire crack era, that No Preem and No Fat Cat and the Corleys and No Dudes Uptown and Boy George and Kev Childs and all of them. We don't do snitches, man. I don't get that. We don't do snitches. You can't come out and you can't sell me nothing, bro. You a dirty fuck. I can't fuck with you.
Well, they say because of the fact of, you know, the whole I guess allegedly, from what they're saying, that gang was trying to kill him and take care of his family, or I guess he was trying to take care of his family, so that's why people chalk it up to well, this one is a little
Nah. You know why? Because you was rolling with them. That was your whole backbone.
Yeah.
You was rocking with Treyway, bro. No matter what they try to do to you, you can't not be a non-gangster and get involved with gangsters. And you making all that money and don't think gangsters gonna try to squeeze you?
Yeah.
You a snitch, bro, because when they had your back, you was all Treyway this, Treyway that. And there's a lot of dudes that was scared to eat you because they knew you was with Treyway.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So they protected you. They had your back, and then you're gonna turn your back on them. I don't care what kind of time you was looking at. You're supposed to eat that, bro. But that just proves that's just they bad for not fucking with a non-gangster anyway.
Yeah.
So, you know, a little bit moving away from it, but still within the realms of upcoming artists. We've also within like the past 5 to 10 years, we started to see kind of like a pull and tug struggle with old school hip hop and more new school hip hop. What was that moment for you, or what artists for you changed your perspective of these new artists and the new school hip hop that we're currently in? What was that moment?
The artists, like when I did live, I told them, man, I said, I think the Migos is probably one of the most important hip hop groups in the last 10 years. I think Drake had a lot to do with changing my mind. I still think there's a lot of them I would be surprised if they lasted more than 3 or 4 years tops, because they're not really saying nothing. But cats like that really, you know, garnered a following, came with a new style. Even if it's not my thing, I'm going to respect the fact that you came with a new style and you changed everything. When I really saw everything change was really when Wayne started growing. Like, he started growing rapidly as a solo artist, because I ain't gonna lie, I thought Juvie was the man out of that group. I'm not gonna lie, I was like, Juvenile.
Yeah.
Oh my God, 400 Degrees album was fire. I'm like, Juvie, man, I slept on Lil Wayne. Slept hard on the pillow on Lil Wayne. So I think when Wayne started coming through, he started changing it, man. And you saw a whole new generation finally have somebody that they enjoyed. It wasn't about Jay no more. It wasn't about Nas no more. It was about this young dude named Wayne with these dreadlocks and these gold teeth and all these tattoos on his face and everything else. And he was just living the way he wanted to live and doing things the way he wanted to do. And he wasn't putting on no suit. You know, he wasn't nowhere near being corporate yet. You know, so he had his own truck set clothing line, and he was skateboarding, and he was doing what the fuck he wanted to do. He had a crib, he had a skateboard park in the middle of the crib in Miami. I was like, he's changing it. He's changing hip hop. Hip hop is following. It's young. It's young now. They don't care about Dipset the way we used to care about Dipset. It's a youth movement, and it always has been. It's always been youth movement. We was always 16 and 17 years old. Remember, LL was 15. He was 14, 15 years old. So it's always been a youth movement. So you can't get older in a youth movement and get mad at the next movement, because you had the movement. It's ridiculous. Yeah. I think Wayne really, when I opened my eyes, I said, oh, this shit changed. Yeah. For real.
Do you think that's one of the things that kind of separates us, like as a culture as whole? Like if it was like new school and old school were actually able to really connect and put out like something, you know what I'm saying, or at least support each other a little bit more, do you think the culture as music would be a little bit more impactful than what it is today?
Absolutely. The first thing we got to do is show them young cats some respect.
Yeah.
That's number one. It's not, this is not Big Daddy Kane no more, bro. Show them some respect for them having their stars the same way we had our stars. I can remember when Melly Mel and them really wasn't feeling what Nas and Prodigy and them was doing. It wasn't feeling what the West Coast was doing. The West Coast had to fight us for their respect. You know what I mean? And it was like that with Scarface and them. When Outkast first came to New York, we was like, man, this country, not me. I always thought Outkast was dope. But people was like, that's why Dre had to get up there and say, yo, the South got something to say. Because we wasn't respecting people from different regions. So, now the older cats, man, that's in their late 40s and 45 years old, Puff just turned 50. What are we going to do? Force Biggie down their throat? Come on.
Yeah.
Let them live, because we lived. We had Flavor in Your Ear. We had Notorious Thugs. We had all of that. We had, 22s. Let them have their music. Stop trying to control something that's beyond your control, and respect their music, even if you don't like it. I don't want to hear trap all night, bro. I don't want to. I don't.
Yeah.
I like some of it. I don't like all of it.
What's in your playlist, Ed, right now?
Oh man, I fucks with Megan Thee Stallion, man. It's something about Megan. I like it. I do. I really like. Like I told you, bro. I mess with like 3D Nati. I mess with her. I'm waiting for Kendrick to drop something new. I have like a 32-year-old producer from my morning show. I put her on the Lil Nas X. I was like, it's something about this song. I just found it. I was just scrolling, and he was trending on my iTunes, and I was like, why is this? Who's Little? At first, it was Nas.
Yeah.
You understand, right? Real Nas.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand. Like, you look at Nas.
It was the name Nas. As soon as you hear Nas, my ears was like, whoop. So I perked up and was like, all right, who's this cat? And I started listening. I listened to a lot of the females, because I've wanted it for so long to be room for more than one female. This female's got to be attached to a male crew thing had to stop at some time. I'm so glad that we have so many different city girls. City girls is the new ratchet ass Salt and Pepper to 400 degrees dirtier Salt and Pepper. I listen to all of them, man. I listen to a lot of them. I still fuck with a lot of New York cats that are coming out. I just love all this new hip hop, man. I think there's some dope ass MCs out there, and I'm glad to hear them.
Do you feel like women? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Do you feel like the women artists? Do you feel like they're unifying more now than they were before? Because honestly,
Absolutely.
A lot of us say that they've been fighting a lot more with Nicki and Cardi, and like now it's kind of going backwards. Like, oh, it can only be one. Where we had like even back then with Queen Latifah and all of them were supporting one another. But even though all these women artists have their own, there's more of them. It seems like also they're not as together, or maybe is that may not be the case.
That's a lack of maturity. They'll get to a certain level when they understand that there's more power by dealing with each other than there is by being separate. It's always going to be a little beef in hip hop. There's always beef in hip hop. It's always somebody think they're better than somebody else. That's always the case. But I think as they grow in business, they'll see, that there's more power in unity than there is in separation. Like one of the biggest disappointments of anybody that really loved hip hop is that Kim and Foxy didn't do that Thelma and Louise album that they were supposed to.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been massive for the culture.
I have a theory about that. I'm gonna ask you after you finish saying it. I have a theory about that. Go ahead.
I'm done.
My theory is the music industry didn't want that to happen because they knew what would happen if those two women did a project together. Think about it. You have Kim and Foxy being, at that point, some of the biggest artists out, not female, artists out.
Period.
Putting them together with two competing labels, I don't see, they wouldn't do that.
And it gave them power as artists, more power.
Yeah, and then they were too dumb to realize that they should stop arguing with each other at the time. You know, that fight, like that competitive nature of hip hop is just what it is. It's like the argument, you know, it's the argument. I remember one thing, it's not the argument. I remember one time when a sports writer had asked Allen Iverson, did he respect Michael Jordan? And Allen said, hell no, not on the court. Mm-hmm. He said, he's on the court, I'm trying to bust his ass. Now, off the court, absolutely respect all the man's accomplishments. But when we're on that same court, it's a competitive nature there. You know, so I think and especially with women, it was so, at that time, that whole crew thing, you know, she was with Junior Mafia and Biggie and them, and then, you know, that kick in the door song Biggie did is all about Nas, and then it was The Firm and all of that, and that crew, it was like, you know, Biggie did the cover of his album with the little baby on it. Nas had put his baby picture on the cover, Illmatic. All of that was like that. So I think the guys kind of juiced them up too, to be like, nah, this us, fuck them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that's what it was.
Do you think, as far as unity is concerned, like I'm a big movie guy, and I know when you did Who's the Man, the dope part about that movie was you had so many hip hop artists just make cameos. Do you see something like that happening in the future? Do you think hip hop can get back to that place?
I would love to see somebody do that, man. And I would love to see hip hop get back to that place where we just can come together and do something for the community. Like, you know, like they did Self-Destruction and all in the same gang, and everybody put their differences to the side and decided to do something. It was so easy, man, to get everybody together for Who's the Man. Nobody said no. Everybody was like, you know, the only person that was supposed to be in that movie that was not in that movie was Mary J. Blige.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
For some reason, Mary was supposed to sing Amazing Grace in that movie, and Bow-Legged Lou ended up singing. She didn't show up. We don't know. To this day,
you still don't know?
We blew a whole day of production waiting on Mary J. Blige. I've never asked her to this day, Mary, why you ain't show up? She's the only person that was supposed to be in the movie that wasn't in the movie, but it was so easy to say, hey, could you come jump on, do a cameo? Because it was the way that we supported each other, man. There was a lot of love and support for everybody. You know, and everybody was doing movies. Everybody wanted to be in the movie. So it was easy.
Hey,
do you think you'll ever get back to film in general? Because you're still very active in radio and obviously in culture. Like, but you obviously had a nice little run in film. What did you stop for a reason and wanted to shift your focus, or did you look at it like, nah, I did it and I'm good at it and I can kind of do it whenever I want?
I still jump in. Last year I did a movie with Chiwetel Ejiofor that was a Netflix thing called Come Sunday. I did that. So I'm out there auditioning, man. Just like, you know, I'm not going in as Ed Lover. I just go in as a person that really likes acting and still been taking acting lessons. And, you know, I was in Chicago. So Chicago was hard for a while. But now that I'm back here in the A, hopefully I'll be getting a whole lot more television and movie stuff. But I decided a long time ago, I finished talking to my man that, he was in The Wire. He played Avon Barksdale.
Wait. The light skin cat you talking about?
No. He played Avon in The Wire.
Oh my God! What?
He played AZ. He played AZ in Paid in Full.
That's
Wood Harris,
right? Wood Harris.
Yeah, his brother Steve Harris. He's from Chicago. And I was talking to Wood about it when he came in to do an interview, and he said, "Man, in order to push forward what you want to do, you have to kill Ed Lover." And I was like, what do you mean by kill Ed Lover? He said, you're being prejudged when you go in as for an audition as Ed Lover. So I don't even put Ed Lover down when I'm doing anything. I put down Jay Roberts, which, you know, James Edwin Roberts is my name. I put down Jay Roberts. So I'm not prejudged. I want to be judged as an actor. I decided I'm not doing no more cameos as me. That's done. I'm not doing it. Because if you get stuck, you know, they like to put us in a box, man. And when you get stuck in that box, it's hard to fight your way out of it. Oh, let's get Ed to play the DJ. Or let Ed play the radio disc jockey. I did that. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
So
I love film and television.
So for when you've been expanding your brand, right? Obviously, being in radio, there are going to be moments where you are giving out your opinions, whether it's via podcast, whether it's on a show, or just even your own social media. Even though you have a space for you to be who you are and to put out your own opinions, do you feel like that has hurt you in some ways in terms of your brand growth? And how are you able to adjust with it, or even could you adjust to it?
That's a good question, Erin. At some point, I think my lack of kissing ass has hurt me in some aspects. But when it comes down to it, my friends are the same friends I've always had, and those are my people. And I don't give a fuck I don't care if the invitation doesn't come for the Rock Nation brunch. You know, I'm not like those people that's gonna bust my ass to go to the Grammys just so I can stand next to Jay and take a picture. We on a level where if we see each other, it's like, what's up, Eddie Mac? What's up, Hov? How you doing? Good. And we'll talk about family and kids and shit like that. But we not the best of friends. You know what I mean? And I think people get this business and they get mixed up feeling like they need to be friends with this person or they need to be friends with that person. I did, come on, son. If you fuck up, I'm gonna call you out on it. And if you don't like it,
Which was risky. You
I'm bringing it back, bro. It's been like they asking for it all the time. I'm bringing, come on. I just found me a new editor. That was my problem. I just found a new editor, and Come On Son is going to make his triumphant return. Because every time something happens, somebody hit me and go, man, if you need to do a come on, I need to do a Come On Son about that shit last night.
I know.
Oh, that Teddy Riley?
Oh my God. Hold on. We were literally just talking about that. Let me tell you something, Ed. I think everyone in here, we all legitimately were waiting the entire week down to 9 o'clock for that battle. And me and you talked about it. I was like, I cannot wait. Sat there. Just like,
okay, first time they scheduled it, remember it got postponed. The first time. It was ever scheduled. It got postponed. We didn't know at the time, but Babyface had gotten coronavirus, him and his family. So he was recovering, and thank God he did recover, because if that man ain't one of the most prolific producers and songwriters in music history, period, I don't know what is. So then we get to this night, and we all like Saturday night, 9 o'clock. I'm hitting people in the Midwest. Yo, it's 8 o'clock your time. I'm hitting people on the West Coast. Don't forget, 6 o'clock your time. Teddy going against Babyface. I'm looking at discographies like, oh, I forgot Face did that. I'm looking at Teddy's joints like, yo, when Teddy hit him with the show, I'm like, I'm sure Babyface don't know Teddy did the show. I'm sure Babyface don't know Teddy did How You Like Me Now by Kumo D. Funk. And then I know he don't know. Because Teddy hit him with that, it's going to be crazy, because Face got mad records. Teddy got a slew of records. They could go slow jam for slow jam, although Face gets the edge on slow jams, okay? Face's slow jam game is ridiculous. But the other tempo joints, Teddy gonna kill him with. So it's gonna be a pretty even battle. And to sit through that, watch Teddy come on in the beginning, when he was testing his sound, he was playing it and it sounded great. And then once the battle starts, he sound like he's coming out of a tin can and got 8,000 people in there, and they can't fix it.
I was in there sick.
He talking to Dre. Did y'all see when he was talking to Dr. Dre on the phone?
I watched the entire thing.
It was crazy. It's like when you buy that movie, you open up the cover, and it's the bootleg version.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Did they try to start all over again with the same
records? That was the other thing. Oh my God.
The problem was, I saw somebody put a post up, and this said it all. They said if doing too much was a person, and they had Teddy. That's exactly what it was. He got Breon in the back looking like an idiot. You know that was Breon, right? You know that? Killer, that was Breon Prescott.
I know.
Like a fucking fool.
Wait, the one who was just like this the whole time?
Yes, that was Jamie. Bro, he managed Fox for a while.
He managed Foxy for like a good, like 4 or 5 years, I believe, or something like that.
Yeah, looking like a straight bozo in the back. And I'm like, yo, what is going on? Like, Teddy, you doing too much. And Face was playing him, but trying not to play him at the same time.
He was trying his best not to.
Yo, those are
You
those
played the
face
shit.
jiggles.
I like the way you started that. Yeah, that was dramatic. But like, oh shit, with the hat and all this, looking like a big ass cranberry cocktail juice. Teddy look burgundy, all burgundy, bro. All you And I told people, I said, this is the problem. Babyface was in wherever he was at, his little home studio, which is closed in, not a lot of echo, and he just played his music. Teddy was in the same space where he did the Teddy Riley and Friends live on his platform. That same big ass studio. It was too big. Yeah. And they couldn't figure it out. 900 fucking people in there working and y'all can't figure this shit out. Now they talking about doing it again. Come on, man.
Yeah, they talking about Monday. They're gonna do it Monday. But
they're talking about doing it Monday.
I like that versus concept. I think when the quarantine is over, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think that part of our culture is dope. Like you put that on a show and you just have a producer versus a producer in front of a live audience.
Right.
Or you have an artist versus an artist and just going record for record. I think that competition in our culture I think that would be dope. I think that show would be dope.
Okay, so let me ask y'all a question. Since I'm the interviewee, I'm about to turn into the interviewer. Who else would you like to see do a versus? Killabh.
A-Rap Music and Justice League.
Very dope. Erin?
Oh my gosh. Come back to me. Because I wasn't prepared for this question.
Funny enough, Ed, I was gonna ask you that. You gotta answer last, Ed, because I was gonna ask you.
I am. I'm not the real Nas. Who you want to see?
I want to see Dr. Dre versus Kanye.
That's my answer right
Ooh.
there.
Ooh.
That's my answer. You know why I want to see this? Because people sleep on the amount of hits that Kanye West has.
Yeah.
Kanye got joints. Or Pharrell versus Kanye West.
I'll give it to Kanye. I know Pharrell got records, but I would have to
Nah, man. I ain't gonna lie. Pharrell got joints. I don't know that, like, and y'all know I love Kanye, but Pharrell has a different catalog of hits. I don't know if
you start going that Gwen Stefani bag.
Yeah, like when you start playing records from Gwen, when you start playing all these big early Clips records, I don't know.
Yo, he had that one song, Happy. You know how that joint was been playing for days and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks.
But you gotta understand that Kanye could go back to that. Kanye could go back to that Jay-Z and Scarface record. Talk to me, man.
Yeah.
Oh, Guess who's back?
Yes, that's Kanye.
Yeah.
Remember that Kerry Hilson record was Kanye. American Boy for Estelle is Kanye.
Oh shit, yeah, that's right. Oh my God.
Kanye got hits. The joint he did with him and it's that ooh baby, the Cameron joint. Yeah.
That's
down and out, right? Down and out.
That's Kanye.
Down and out. Yeah.
Let's not forget the joints he did for his boys from Chicago.
Yeah.
Dilated Peoples, yeah. Yo. John Legend, did he do some of John Legend's first album?
Yes, Kanye got
one.
Yep.
Kanye got joints with everybody.
Yo, what about a Dirty South battle? Who would you want to see?
Organized Noise. That Organized Noise versus probably Jermaine Dupri.
Ooh.
Jermaine takes, he has confessions. I'm like, that's not fair.
We're one of the most classic albums of all time.
Listen, Ed, anybody that knows me, if nothing else, you can never say anything bad about Confessions, fam. Like that album for me, don't. Yeah. I won't be friends no more. Yeah, I'm cool.
Jermaine got Confessions, bro. That's a 10 million seller, plus Jermaine did Crisscross's everything Crisscross ever did, plus the biggest record, the Emancipation of Mimi, is a Jermaine production. Jermaine got hits.
Do you feel like he's slept on? Or doesn't even get the earned respect?
Yeah, absolutely. JD he's an amazing producer, and put them with the songwriter Brian Michael Cox, and them two together. Now, if you want to do something like that, songwriter and producer versus, I would love to see. Let's go LA and Babyface versus Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis.
Yo, I was just thinking that.
Oh my God.
Nas, I'll give you credit.
God.
Nas has been saying that since this versus thing. Nas has been saying that. I will give you credit. I'll give you credit.
Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis versus LA and Babyface. That was more of a battle that we should have saw. It probably should have been Teddy versus Jermaine. That's probably what we should have saw. And we should have saw LA and Babyface versus Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. But I would love to see people just, go versus on artists. Like my man DJ Spinner and Keystar in New York, they used to do all of these, Stevie Wonder parties where they would play all Stevie Wonder. It was called the Wonderful Party. And then he started doing all Michael Jackson stuff, and they started doing Prince. I think he said next weekend he's on live with Spike Lee hosting on his live, and they're doing Prince versus Michael Jackson. That's
fire. That's fire. I'm tuned in. That is.
But
fire.
you know what you need? You need somebody from Mike's family, Tito or one of them, or Jermaine or one of them to host it, and Prince's sister, and they just go joint for joint for joint for joint. Woo!
That would be nuts.
But that's the stuff that needs to be on TV.
Yeah, that's a versus. You're right.
That's the stuff that needs to be on TV, man.
Has anyone done battle rap yet?
Nope.
No one has done battle rap on IG Live?
No, ain't nobody gonna do that. Ain't nobody gonna do that.
Yeah, they too scared.
They scared.
They're not gonna jump out on a ledge like that. You figure most battle rappers, they plan for months. Like
right.
I've watched Surf, I've watched Arsenal. I see what goes into it. It's not as easy as just picking up a pad and jumping in. Like they're rehearsing, they're practicing, their hand gestures, everything. No one is just about to go get up online and then say, hey, who's my random opponent? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't even see even established artists doing that, just because there's so much to lose now that this versus thing is just it's been built up.
Yeah, you're dead. You're dead in the water. If you're an established artist, you better come 100% correct, or you're gonna be left for dead, bro.
Yeah, 100%.
Let me tell you, my greatest resurrection of a career that I've ever seen in the last 10 years is Meek Mill, bro. I thought Drake ended him.
Well, the thing, I think, we said this before, I think what saved Meek is him getting locked up. That saves Meek.
You think so?
100%.
Yeah. Well, the social justice stuff, yeah.
100%. If that doesn't happen, do I think that Meek would come back? Yes, just because of the type of music that he makes, and even outside of that, as he was releasing records, people were still fucking with him. They just did it from a distance, or there was a line that was drawn. The moment that he then gets locked up, and then you start to see all of the loopholes in his case, then you have damn near the whole nation, including President Obama, in back of him. That'll change your optic. And if I'm Drake, I don't know if I want to really continue this at this point. I may need to chill and try to figure this out. He's got the nation in back of him now.
Right, he got everybody behind him, 100%. Yeah.
Also, Dreams and Nightmares too was Meek Mill's saving grace. It's one of the biggest pump up sports Philly anthems out. So you could be like, oh yeah, that shit was corny, but you couldn't say that he didn't have a hit, because Dreams and Nightmares was a hit.
Yeah, that's a big hit. That's why I said what a resurrection of his career, because he came right back with, you're only as good as your last record. He came back with a bomb-ass gigantic record. Let me. Here's another question that I need to ask you guys. What is wrong with Wale? Why he's so dope? Why isn't he bigger than he is?
Because you want me to say, or you
no, you go first. Go first.
Because he is someone who speaks his mind, and I think that people in the industry don't like that, and so there's this blackballing kind of thing, or the lack of respect kind of thing that goes on. And maybe there are times where he can speak his mind, and I think maybe there are times where he may want to pull back on it. But I think people just can't handle it. I think people just can't handle honesty, and people just can't handle someone just really speaking up on things that they don't agree with. And in this industry, it's all about, you know, you guys know, it's partially it's about kissing ass. Like, people kiss ass. And those who don't kiss ass, they try to hinder you and they try to put you down as much as possible, even when you're being honest about what's going on behind the scenes.
But you still can have your own, you know, you still have your own platform and still do your own thing. I mean,
well,
music.
He's doing it with the WWE, with WrestleMania and gaming. Like, Wale's someone who was one of the early rappers that has transformed over into these nerd culture or subcultures. It's like him, Lupe, even T-Pain. Like, people still disrespect T-Pain. And I don't, it still blows my mind how much they disrespect him. And he was so pivotal in the auto-tune usage of music, to the point where, like, even Kanye was doing similar stuff. And I think that
a whole ass album of it.
Yeah. And it's just like Wale has kind of like, he puts out music and stuff, but he's really taken the lane of just WrestleMania and wrestling and integrating hip hop and Black culture within these other cultures that either don't support Black culture and want to keep it out, or they themselves don't want to give credit to Black culture. Like, still to this day, the gaming industry is crazy because people act like Black people don't play video games, or hip hop people don't play video games, when some of the best soundtracks included rap music. GTA had introduced Royce da 5'9". It was one of the earliest music licensing examples in video games, aside from Michael Jackson's video game. Like, it's just these different things. It's like they don't understand that Black culture and even hip hop have always been synonymous with gaming. But Wale has helped to shed a light on that more, along with like Lupe and a few others.
Right.
Yeah, I agree.
I think best MCs. I just don't get it.
I think Wale, I think there's just a disconnect, and I honestly think it's partially us as consumers, right? And I'll take it a step further, the suits in the buildings. I think that a lot of pressure we put on artists, right? Like, we put pressure on them to live a certain lifestyle. There's these certain expectancies of Wale. He's one of those people where it's like, you look at him, he can rap. He makes great records. I think because he is so diverse in some of the things that he talks about, people don't know how to take him. You know, he's very, very deep. He makes really, really good records, and he can make really, really good hit records. He has amazing chemistry with some of the artists he works with, but it's like, what do you get from him? I know he's a wrestling fan. I know he's a gaming fan. I know he's gone off the ledge at times. And I've heard him speak really, really educated on Black awareness and cultural appropriation. I think it's one of those things where maybe even for him, it's either he still tries to figure it out, or he's very content with saying, no, I want to go this route with gaming and wrestling, just because I'm comfortable with it, and I've given enough of my life to the music business where I've lost myself. I think you could do a whole case study on Wale. Honestly, I do really believe that.
Maybe we should just ask him.
Yeah, I'm listen, keeping it all the way 100. I'm trying to get Lupe on the show. I have so many.
Wale.
I mean, Wale. I keep saying Lupe.
I mean, we'll take
Lupe
both.
Earlier.
I'll take both. I think Lupe is another one that's
both
misunderstood. I personally think.
Yeah.
I think they both so super dope, man. And cultural appropriation is real out here, bro. It's real. They don't want to fuck with us, but they want to be us. Like what did somebody say? What was it, David Schwimmer, when he said he would love to see a reboot of, what was it? Was it Living
Friends?
Single?
Was that Friends and Living Single? When Friends stole that whole thing from Living Single?
Absolutely.
He didn't know. Yeah.
He had no idea.
Yeah.
He had no idea that
crazy.
It's always the same thing, but they always end up getting more than what we get for doing the same exact thing that we've done. You know, it was always that same thing. Like I told my man back in the day when he was going at Eminem, I said Eminem is not the problem. It's the culture that allows Eminem to do shit that we couldn't do. That's the problem. It's MTV allowing Eminem to dig a grave and say, "I'm sorry, mama," and all that, with your mom's on the tombstone, and no Black artist could have did no shit like that. They wouldn't even show Straight Outta Compton.
Yeah, but then I'm sorry, I was gonna say, didn't they try to do something with the grave diggers? Wasn't that Russell Simmons' nephew?
Yeah, and that was RZA. And
RZA, yeah.
Yeah, they wouldn't even let them rock.
Nah, they wouldn't let them rock at all. But see, it's not going at the artist. The artist is just the artist. The artist is gonna push as far as society lets them go. So it's not the artist's fault. You know, it's the systems. It's the system's fault. The only difference with Eminem is Eminem is actually dope.
Yeah.
You remember they tried to shove Vanilla Ice down our throat as the great white hype, as I like to call him. But, you know, M is dope, so you can't take that away from him.
So what's the line? What is that line drawn between cultural appropriation and appreciation? I feel like sometimes there's that fine line between the two. So what is that line? Like, where can we say that, you know, this is appropriation versus this is appreciation?
I think when you got the appreciation comes from artists like M. Appropriation was Vanilla Ice. Appreciation was House of Pain, Everlast, Beastie Boys. That was appreciation. Appropriation is Bada Barbie and all of them. That's appropriation. You know, when you come out, you doing your thing, and you just love the music, and you rapping, and doing how you feel about rapping, or what's going on with you. I just feel like that's appreciation. Like you grew up with this music, you love this music, you're a part of this music, and that's what it is. You want to be a part of this music. I think when you start trying to be what we are, then you're appropriating just for the sake of trying to get a little money.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
I was going to say, going back to that Wale thing, the first time I ever heard of Lady Gaga was on Wale's record. I don't know if she had songs out prior to that, but that's the first time I was like, yo, who is this woman on this record?
Wale
and now she's doing...
He does put people on. He works with various. I think, wasn't it him that also with Tierra Whack?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it could have been, yeah.
She's dope too.
I just got up on her sometime last year. She's dope.
Yeah.
She's dope. Threw me off with the name Whack because I like in hip hop. Whack. But then I started listening to her. I was like, wow, Shorty got bars.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that's going to keep her back, though, because I don't think a lot of the youngins, they just about the vibe. They don't want no bars, man.
No.
It's so weird. Like at certain times they'll want bars because they'll take a Kendrick, they'll take a Drake, they'll take even a Nipsey. They'll take that, but then it's like in waves. Like I was even talking about this the other day, like with the guy, I'm having a brain fart. Rock Nation dropped with Jay-Z project. Think about it.
J-Luck.
J-Luck, thank you. You don't even hear about J-Luck no more. Think about it. Like for 2 weeks, almost 3 weeks, all you heard was J-Luck.
Right.
And he's a spitter. And he spit, but I mean, it wasn't, I guess, the consumer's likings. But because of that, people, you don't even hear about it anymore. But yet you'll have another record like a Lil Nas X or something like that. That's one of those boom bap kind of club records that'll take off, and then you'll never hear the end of it. It's weird, but people still will consider that bars versus, you know, the actual bars. Make sense what I'm saying?
Right, yeah. Can't nobody tell me nothing compared to what Jay Electronica is talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a weird paradox with that age group. They want, I guess it's who they want bars from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, like who they expect bars from. Like, you know, Tierra Whack, Kendrick, cats like that got bars, so they expect bars from them. But then I think with Jay Elect, it took so long.
Yeah.
You know, it took forever for us. So even when we was like, he finally dropping a album, like he was known as a spitter for how long? Yeah. So I think that for the youth culture, it just pat it like, hey, I ain't fucking about no. You know what I mean? Things, you got to understand things change. And then you still got some of the younger end of the demo here. They don't care what Jay-Z talking about, man.
Yeah.
You can't relate to him. He's to a lot of them, believe it or not. Now, you know how much I love me some Jay-Z, okay? But to a lot of them, he's Mr. Beyonce, bro. Let's keep it who it is.
Yeah.
I saw it on that last On the Run 2 concert. I went to that concert in Chicago. That was a Beyonce show, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, he did Girl Cry, and I think me and 3 other niggas was standing. The kids was like, what the fuck is this shit? Why did this bring Beyonce back? It is what it is, man. You got kids, you know, once you hit that super money range, people ain't trying to hit. They get mad. They don't want to hit shit.
Yeah, they don't. At that point, I can't even
Shut
hear
the
what
fuck
you're
up
saying.
about buying box. Nigga, I get them.
Do you feel like it was Dangerously in Love, that project is what turned the attention more towards Beyonce than Jay-Z?
Absolutely. Absolutely. But then Jay had the 444 to me was, I would call like one of his, I think every artist has to have a magnus opus, but that's Jay-Z's Grown Ass Man album.
Yeah.
To me. That's his Grown Ass Man album, because when you get to a certain space in life, especially a certain tax bracket, you can't keep talking about moving keys. You ain't moved no keys since '83, nigga. You ain't. You may move a piano. They might put a piano in your or something, but we all know you're not doing that. So you got to kind of figure out something else as an artist to say, but still be dope at the same time. But then, like I said, on the flip side of that coin, you got dudes out there that's, they're still in the hood, they still struggling, they doing whatever they got to do. So they talking about what they see around them in the strip club and all that. We don't give a fuck that you bought Blue Ivy or Basquiat, nigga. We so far away from Basquiat, it's retarded. So don't go telling us when this shit appreciate, Blue ain't gotta never have to work. I don't give a fuck. So you got that paradigm, right? So it's a lot different. It's a lot different from them. So a cat that like Jay Elect that takes a long time to come out, and then you got Jay all over your album, who especially these young cats really ain't trying to hear nothing you gotta say. It's kind of, I don't know if that hindered you or if that helped you.
Yeah.
Because I ran to the phone. Oh shit, Jay Electronica, come on, Jay on it. Oh, okay. I thought he was on like one song or something.
Yeah.
It was almost like a collabo album.
I thought it was a Jay-Z passion project featuring Jay Electronica. That's what I thought.
That's what it felt like to you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it just felt like a Jay-Z album with a little Jay Electronica on it. And I was like, if this Jay's, it's just a Lex project, then you should have probably featured one song and then let him rock out on the rest of them and do whatever he want to do with other people. But as it changes and as we grow older, it's just what it is. They live in their life, The Baby put that album out. That shit was all over Twitter.
Yeah.
He was trending. I was like, why is The Baby? I thought maybe kill somebody or something. This nigga. I like The Baby. Remember I tell you, Killer, how much I like The Baby? I was like, oh, don't tell me this nigga. Fuck some shit. Like, he dropped the album at midnight. And I was like, oh. And then they start smashing it. That shit is garbage. You know how they go. It's different because we had to get a project, right? We had to get a project. Say back in the days, Fab put out a project. We had to go get the project or wait till the quarterly, monthly magazine came out, read their reviews on the project,
and then
go get the album, listen to the album, and then you told maybe like 5 people your opinion on the album. Yeah. Now somebody with 16 million followers could fucking destroy your album. Soon as you put it out, nobody's going to the store to physically buy that album anymore. So you're already less invested in the artist because you're not really spending. You got a subscription to a streaming service. So you're not really going to the store and buying the Baby's album. And that's another thing. Y'all more on this shit than I am, bro. Tell me, how are these motherfuckers going platinum and ain't nobody sell? How do they count? How are they counting this?
Well, what they're doing, Ed, number one is they're going through third parties. So, like, a good example, just because we're talking about Hov in releasing Magna Carta did the deal with Sprint. He was already good. Like, he had already made his money recouped before the album even went live, just off of cell phone subscriptions and doing it through a company like Sprint. You buy this phone, you automatically get the album. Those album sales. Like, the artists are now finding ways to do things like that. That's why I think people scrutinize Chris Brown and Drake for putting out large bodies of work. But if you're playing the streaming game, yeah, I'm going to put out large bodies of work because it increases my chances of streaming and/or garnering some sort of award. It could be
so you mean to tell me you get a credit for your song streaming on a platform?
Yeah,
it's a point system.
But they didn't buy it. They did. So if I put on Cardi B radio in a Chris Brown song come on, Chris Brown gets a sale credit for that?
It's less than, so a sale credit is worth more than a stream point. So you can only get a certain percentage when it comes to streams. And certain streaming platforms, the percentage is like it could be like 0.22 something cents. It could be 25 cents, right? And that's how it builds up. And then like usually like Spotify's is less because it's a bigger platform. Then Google Play, you can actually get more from streaming there. And like in order for you to really make money, you have to make like millions and millions of streams. It's not a great system right now. They still have to work on it. Like a lot of artists have been really speaking out about these streaming platforms and how they feel like they're taking advantage of the artists and they're not giving them what they've earned. That's why you saw Jay-Z go ahead and make Tidal and do all that stuff with the artists over there. But it's still, I mean, but every area of the music business history, we've always seen these issues of certain companies taking advantage of artists, and then unfortunately that's going to be a continuing thing, and they're trying to fix it. But I also have a question. What were your guys' opinions on Drake's Tootsie Slide? Like that was something like people felt away because he was doing a song and had a dance.
I straight left that shit alone. I didn't go lie. I never seen the video. Nothing. I never seen the video. I was like, this is some shit that's gonna get on my nerve on Instagram. Every time I turn on my gram and start scrolling, I'm gonna see somebody doing the Tootsies. I've never even heard the whole fucking record. Straight up, I was like, that ain't the Drake I like. I'm not, I got everything. I still cringe every time I hear "Shawty, say what's that price?" I fucking that record, son. Every time I hear H to the is L, V to the is A,
yeah.
Those are records that I fucking hate, dog. And so that Tootsie Slide, I was like, come on with this shit. You better than this, bro.
You know what's doing that for me right now? The Weeknd, I can't feel my face. That record, I can't hear that anymore. I cannot.
Oh, I can't feel my face when I'm with you. Yeah.
Oh my God. I've heard that record so many times.
But Erin, I have a question for you. Whatever you're using, I don't know what you're speaking into, but could you please send the shit to Teddy Riley house right now? Because you sound better than his whole entire fucking stream last night.
It's a Blue Yeti.
I got that. Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. Somebody get Teddy a Yeti, Mike. That's what I'm using. That's what I'm using to broadcast. Well, now that I'm, quarantined here and I'm broadcasting back into Chicago, that's what I'm using, the Blue Yeti mic. That's the greatest shit that ever came out. On clean feed, you good.
Yeah, and it's not that expensive too. This was like 200 and something. It was not bad.
Yeah, please get Teddy one of them shits.
Man, I think. Well, I mean, I know we've held you hostage, Ed. Thank you, because like you said, I know you don't do this often.
My man, bro. So you know that.
With us. I really appreciate it. We all really appreciate it. Let them know where you can find you. Yes, let them know. Let people know where they can find you.
Ed Love on Instagram, Mr. Ed Love on Twitter. Please follow my podcast. Come on, son, the podcast. I'm opinionated as fuck, and I don't give a fuck. So please listen. You might learn something. You might agree with me. You might disagree with me. But as long as you listen, I don't care. And the return of Come On, Son is going to happen. The videos. I won't post anything else on YouTube because YouTube like to flag niggas for using other people's content. So they do. No, you didn't clear this video. What's up? Fuck that YouTube. So, I'll be doing it for the gram. So Come On, Son is gonna come back in a major way for sure. Appreciate y'all having me, man.
Thank you. All right, as always, guys, I know I botched the intro, so we're gonna do it a little different this time. So again, thank you guys for subscribing. Hit the notification button to be notified for our latest to the greatest episodes. And again, I want to thank Ed for coming on. Subscribe to our Discord. Can't say that enough. Discord, guys. Please jump in there. It's 24 hours. We have a lot of fun in there talking about wrestling, music, gaming, culture, everything. Also subscribe to our newsletter as well. You'll be up to date as far as events, streams, everything like that. And I'm one of the hosts, Brandon Killabh, y'all.
I'm Erin Ashley Simon. And correction, it wasn't Tierra Whack. Even though while I did give her props on social media, it was actually Meg Thee Stallion with the song Pole Dancer before she popped off.
All right.
I'm regular Nas, aka the other Nas.
Yeah, that's the new alias now, Nas.
The other Nas, the regular Nas is funny as fuck. Peace out, y'all. Thanks for having me, man.
Grassroots.